Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Raspberry. By far my favorite type of games are FromSoft games. Is that because I'm a masochist? Maybe I like punching my desk, okay? That being said, I've actually only ever beaten Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne. And generally when I played those games, I tended to use like kind of smaller, quicker dex weapons. So to keep that tradition, for my first full playthrough of Dark Souls 1, I'm gonna beat the whole game, daggers only. I have beaten the better half of this game, I just never completed it. I never did the DLC, just wanna let that be known. After naming our hero Lacarpatron, I couldn't fit Duke Marriott. Picking the Thief as our starting class, as it basically gives you the second best dagger in the game, it was time to head to the asylum. Before we continue on with this run, I want to go over the rules real quick. I can only use daggers, that means no shields, no spells, nothing else. I have to get every single dagger in the game, and lastly, I have to beat all the bosses. After acquiring our first weapon, I follow the big ball and accidentally partake in cold-blooded murder. No! I didn't mean to do that. Either way, we still get that sweet, sweet nectar. After missing our plunge attack totally on purpose, it's time to fight our first boss, the Asylum Demon. Man, he virtually put up no fight because the Asylum Demon is extremely susceptible to bleed damage, which is basically what the daggers do. I then hitched a ride with Snuggly with the first class ticket to Lordran. To give a quick overview of the Bandit's Knife, it has high scaling and dexterity, does 300 bleed damage, and has a high crit rate of 147, with okay damage and horrible range. The light attack are quick little slash attacks, and the heavy attack is basically the same attack if you put your back into it. The two-handed attacks are virtually the exact same, they just use more endurance and are a little bit stronger. After getting a little bit of backstab practice in and genuinely getting jump scared from the dragon that I forgot about, it was time to visit an undead friend of ours and get our next weapon, the dagger. The existence of this weapon makes absolutely no sense to me because it is basically the exact same as the Bandit's Knife, except it has no bleed damage and less critical. You can put it in your left hand and get this cool breakdancing move though. After an actually successful plunge attack this time, and a few bleed procs, the Taurus Demon was no more. Then I decided to test my skills against some Black Knights. Relearning how to fight these guys was fucking annoying. So annoying in fact that I just gave up entirely. And so did the Black Knight. For the inevitable drip souls that are going to come later in the run, I had to politely ask Fake Havel for his ring. By politely ask, I mean stab him in his spine probably like 15 to 20 times. With that equip load, and I'll be able to wear all my Gucci. As a former Destiny player, 80% of the reason why I play any game is to look cool in the game. I mean, come on. I make a quick trip to our boy Andre. Wazza! Get our dagger upgraded a little bit. Grab the Firekeeper soul. Made it through the hallway that's super easy to get through. If you have range. Free this piece of shit. Now it was time to face the Bell Gargoyles. My memory of this fight was that it was really easy, but then I remembered that back in the day I was using like a fucking Black Knight sword or something with the dagger, and I don't know, being like 2 or 3 years since I even touched this game, this fight was fucking frustrating. I probably gave it a good solid 10 tries before I beat them. In hindsight, they're not that hard, I'm just bad at the game. And with the twin happiness haters down, that's 1 out of 2 bells. With those newly acquired souls, I quickly bought some Titanite shards from Andre and upgraded the dagger to +5. This time around, I purposefully committed cold-blooded murder, and I actually forgot how souls worked. I genuinely thought that I lost the ring. So what did I do? I jumped off the ledge to fucking grab it, but thankfully there's nothing to worry about. The next stop through the lovely land of Lordran was Michael Vick's dogfighting ring. All jokes aside, after the initial walk in the room and getting absolutely gangbanged in the corner, this fight really caused me no issue. I lured the Capper Demon up the stairs, then killed the dogs, and honestly just kind of fucked up the Capper Demon. When you get him by himself, he's really not that bad. With our newly acquired key, we head down under. Grab ye old large ember. I swear, I'll read these messages, but not actually comprehend them. Oh look, it's a room full of 6-9s, and with playing with my nuts so far up my stomach, I didn't get cursed one time, and we made it to our favorite dragon. Oh, so disgusting. Other than being turned into a meatball sub for lunch, Gaping Dragon caused no issue. Until he was one-shot and became the hardest boss to hit. Come on. Dude literally turns into an Olympic hurdle jumper at the end of this fight. I dumped my newly acquired souls into dexterity, thought I'd take a long walk in the woods to clear my head, and ran into like the weirdest fucking enemy I've ever seen. I don't remember this from playing this game before. It's like a frog ray, sting frog. I don't know. After rolling about 100 times, I finally was able to do enough damage to kill the Moonlight Butterfly on my first attempt. Now it's time to head over to Blighttown, the place that I've been dreading since I started this challenge. And honestly, I don't really remember why I disliked Blighttown so much. I know that it was really annoying, but oh yeah, I remember why I hate Blighttown so much. God, this place fucking sucks. Eventually I made it through hell, lit the bonfire, and told these slugs that I thought Turbo was a mid-movie. Sorry guys, it's just a shittier Ratatouille. Made my way back through Blighttown because my dumbass didn't rest at the bonfire. And now it was time to fight Quelaag. Not gonna lie, this fight fucked me up for a bit, mainly because of the move where she explodes. After learning when she goes limp, that means run away. Wasn't that difficult. She doesn't really take any bleed damage, so you just gotta hit her a bunch. But eventually she goes down, no issue really. This is another one of those boss fights where in the moment of me fighting them and constantly running back to the arena, I thought that they were genuinely like the hardest boss in sliced bread. But I had a hard time remembering to look for tells and to just dodge moves and stop running right into fights. And after defeating the boss that sexually confused a whole generation of gamers, the second bell was rung, giving us access to Sen's Kinky Fortress, which has endless fun that includes rolling off the edge to imminent death, getting shot in the face and then knocked off the edge into imminent death, walking into a hallway where you think you're safe but you actually just walked into imminent death, all for the low price of the gold serpent ring. After beating out Lust and making it to the next bonfire, I found myself in an Oklahoma drill against this guy who unfortunately is just better at the game than I am, just straight up a skill issue on my end. So I came back with an open heart, head, and hand, which I then used to backhand his blade away. I was dumbfounded. I was today years old after like 5 years of playing these games when I learned that you can parry with your fucking hand. After reaching limitless power by unlocking the hand parry, enemies 10 times bigger than me, such as this giant, cowered and feared to my sheer lethalness. In fact, I was so intimidating that the iron golem shot his projectile at me and purposely hit the ground in fear of my retaliation. Fortunately for him, my retaliation consisted of repeatedly hitting his ankles with feathers and balloons. The dagger's damage output is only really good when you take into account that it does bleed damage. The fucking iron golem takes no damage from the daggers and no bleed damage at all. And this fight literally just turned into a race of who falls off the map first, which I did for probably 3 hours until Isaac Newton finally decided he was one of the good guys. At this point in the run, I was a little reluctant to using YouTube. I mean, I'm sure I could have looked up the correct way to have him fall over, but I just kind of wanted to re-figure it out for myself. Yeah, that wasn't the case for the whole run. Turns out that first class ticket also carried over to a free complimentary flight to Anor, Londo, where they blindfold you, kidnap you, make you keep your seat in an upright position, but hey, free peanuts. After a long, grueling flight, we finally made it to the big city, Anor, Londo, where dreams can be made true. You just have to take alternate paths to get there. And to all those who get in your way, you just have to stab them with your dagger and hope they bleed and die. And when all hope seems to be lost and you're falling down, hopefully fate catches you and takes you to where you're supposed to go. And that place is the shortcut, bringing us to the real final boss of Dark Souls 1, the Black Knight Archers. But with my newly equipped ability, the hand parry, the Black Knight Archers didn't have a chance. And honestly, none of their brethren did either. I remember back in the day, the Black Knights in Anor Londo used to cause me so much distress, but being able to parry makes this shit so much easier. And the fact that the daggers do a lot of repost damage, it was like cutting through butter with Quelaag's fire sword. With the blood of dozens of Black Knights on my left hand, it was time to fight Biggie Smalls and Tupac. My strategy with this fight was to target Smo first, as he's extremely susceptible to bleed damage. Unfortunately, every single time I got him really low, Ornstein thought he was a part of the cast of Saving Private Ryan and made it impossible to kill this man. That was until I realized I can use the pillars to make this fight from a 1v2 to a 2v2. All I gotta do is stick it right in between them and make it so Ornstein can't reach me. Eventually the big fat man went down and it turned into a mano a mano. After taking weight gain 4,000, Super Ornstein by himself is no easy feat. Wait, did someone say feet? You can manage to dodge his big jumping attack, stay close to his knees, hit him enough times to get a bleed proc or two. Daddy Ornstein will father no one no more. I dumped those newly acquired souls into Vitality, snag the Lord Vessel from the AI lady, get eaten whole for the second time in this run, and place the Lord Vessel to start the latter half of the game. The first Lord Soul I decided to get was Nito, as he's the only one that I immediately remember how to get. But before I commit to that, I wanted to upgrade the Bandit's Knife to plus 10. Wish I would have done that before Ornstein and Smo, but hey, better late than never. After the tedious process of relearning how to make it through the entire catacombs, I finally made it to the bonfire. Finally, safe and sound. Or so I thought. How many attacks does it take to get to the center of a pinwheel, you might ask? A 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, an 8, and a 9. 10 cuts to get to the center of the pinwheel. With that out of the way, it's time to relearn the pitch blackness of the Tomb of the Giants. Yeah... No, I'm not doing that. Remember earlier when I said I was going to YouTube certain parts? This was the first one I did. I spent like a cool 5 to 10 minutes running around this area, and that was all the time I needed to know that I was not gonna fuck around with this. After finding the bonfire, killing the liar, and looking up the perfect route, it was time to face our first lord, Nito. With the death of Ornstein and Smo and my newly upgraded daggers, I came into this fight confident as fuck, but quickly I realized I was outclassed. Because of the dagger's B-dick range, I couldn't hit Nito through his coat, so I had to hit him in his front. Pair that with minimal damage and the fact that these skeletons would not leave me the fuck alone and I had no real good answer for them, this fight quickly turned into a wall. I knew I had to come up with something to ease the pain that is this fight, so I took a little detour to New Londo ruins to grab our third weapon, the parrying dagger. The parrying dagger has the same light attack but comes with a thrusting heavy attack. Compared to other daggers in the game, it's pretty average, honestly below average, but the reason of its usage isn't its damage, it's the fact that it has the highest parry frames in the entire game. Parry frames that I was hopeful to use against the skeletons causing me so much issue, but honestly, it didn't do anything. But hey, at least we got the next dagger. Gotta take our wins whenever we can get them. Speaking of wins, after like 3 hours, I got so close to beating him. No! Yeah, that was my genuine reaction. At this point in the run, I had lost all hope. I genuinely did not think I was gonna beat him. And then the very next run, this happens. Yes! 1 Lord Soul acquired, 3 more to go. I headed off to the Demon Ruins to get the next Lord Soul. After ceaselessly discharged on me, I cut his nub and the hot liquid dried up. Pause. Next, we head off to the Demon Fire Sage, whose name is a lot more intimidating than he actually is. The Demon Fire Sage, like all of his brothers, is extremely susceptible to bleed, so goodbye, Demon. And hello, other demon. Just such a creative name. This fight consists of the centipede demon walking up to you, you staying away from the lava, you slicing his ankles, and bleeding and him dying. It's that simple. There's really not much to this fight, other than the fact that you get the best ring in the game, the ear rape ring. After bursting our eardrums walking through Lost Isola, it was time for the Bed of Chaos. And after the first branch goes down with ease, it was time for the second one. It was time for the second. I think every Dark Souls player can agree that Bed of Chaos is the worst designed boss out of every FromSoft game. After making that grueling boss run back maybe 13 to 14 times, finally put the Bed of Chaos to bed with my fist. Fuck you, it's good enough. Another Lord Soul down. Now it was time to complete the part of the run I was dreading the most, getting the Ghost Blade. The Ghost Blade is a dagger that drops from 1 of 2 female ghosts in the entirety of New Londo ruins. And not only does it only drop from 2 enemies, it has a 1% drop rate. And not only does it have a 1% drop rate, the 2 enemies are so far apart that you have to kill all the other ghosts in the way. So basically, you get 2 1% chances to get the dagger every like 3 to 5 minutes. And because all the enemies that I have to kill are ghosts, I need to stock up on transient curses. So the 65,000 souls I got from Bed of Chaos, going to transient curses. And to increase our drop chance, I used 10 humanity to go from a 1% to about a 2.1% chance. Then I equipped my gold serpent ring to go from a 2.1 to a 4.1% chance. Now it's time to start grinding. So a 4% chance every 3 minutes times 25 for 100%, it's about 75 minutes. Oh my god. And we got it first try. Like, I didn't even script this. I got super fucking lucky. Praise the sun. I wish it was half as good as it is rare. It has poo-poo scaling with an E in strength, the second worst crit, and its damage is just okay. It does, however, have the fastest moveset out of all the daggers. Look at it compared to the bandit's dagger. And then its heavy attack is almost like a double swipe that is very, very fast. That's 4 out of the 6 daggers acquired. As a reward for getting the Ghost Blade, I treated myself to a thicker Estus flask, which means I needed some Firekeeper souls. Did that mean I have to kill a couple of Firekeepers in cold blood to get their souls? Maybe. Did I feel bad about it? Nah. And with that, I went from a +2 to a +5 Estus flask. After beefing up our heals, it was time to beef up our weapon. So I headed down to New Londo ruins to grab the very large ember, brought it to Andre, and then accidentally made my bandit's knife into a +5 from a +10 because I'm an idiot. I guess that was karma for killing the Firekeepers in cold blood. After wasting a bunch of souls to remedy the situation, I got my bandit's knife to +14. The only way to get it to +15 was to hop on that Snuggly Express and head back to the Undead Asylum, which leads us to our next boss, Stray Demon. Like his fat ass brothers, he's extremely susceptible to bleed. Oh my god, who would have thought? However, However, unlike the other two brothers, this guy actually does some damage with his fucking bomb move, so you have to play this one a bit smarter. But after no time, the stray demon goes down. With the Titanite slab and the peculiar doll acquired, time to max out the bandit's knife and to look at some beautiful artwork. The way the shades of white just go against the other shades of what is going on. No. Shout out the backlogs for that joke, and shout out the painted world of Ariamus for absolutely creeping me the fuck out. I mean, what are these things? Like, what is that? Oh, it's so weird. Shout out the phalanxes from Demon Souls. Shout out the pinwheel room for being just mind-numbingly fucking frustrating to get through, especially with no shield and just a dagger. And last but not least, shout out Priscilla for having the hardest dagger on the entire run to get. Let me explain why. To get Priscilla's dagger, you need to cut off her tail. However, when you start the fight, she goes invisible and you can't cut her tail. The only way to make her visible is to either A, do enough damage to her, or B, break her poise. Now, this puts us in a predicament because the only dagger that we leveled up was the bandit's dagger, which is now plus 15. So if we use the bandit's dagger to do enough damage to make her visible, she will be so low on HP that we won't actually be able to cut off her tail because she'll just die too soon. The only other option is we have to break her poise. This is way easier said than done. Priscilla has 60 poise. Daggers do 5 poise damage per hit. So basically you have to hit her 12 times in a very short amount of time to make her visible. And then on top of that, you have to switch back to your bandit's dagger and then cut her tail off, which in and of itself is a very difficult thing to do. It felt like it took 15 to 20 minutes to break her poise. And once I broke her poise, it felt like she would just go back to being invisible in like less than a second. The biggest issue with hitting her 12 times consecutively to break her poise was the fact that my stamina bar at best could only give me like 9 attacks, making it very difficult to hit her 12 consecutive times. And on top of that, she would hit me like a truck, knocking me away, and I would lose my streak. If only I had a dagger that could hit her fast so I could get my 12 hits in, whether I couldn't track her or she hit me, I would be able to keep my streak. Oh yeah, I do. It's called the Ghost Blade. The reason why the fast attacks help so much isn't because I would perfectly hit the 12, it's because the room for error drastically increased. I didn't have to worry so much about missing her because I would get so many fast consecutive hits that I could miss more, get my endurance back, and then hit her more and make her go visible. Now that I had an easy way to break her poise, I just had to get good at cutting her tail off. And luckily the last 2.5 hours of me trying to cut her tail off kind of just turned into practice, and I actually managed to get it the first try while using the Ghost Blade. This is a situation that would only come up and be difficult in an all daggers run, which is just like the cherry on the top. Although Priscilla's dagger has very high scaling and dexterity with an A, and the highest bleed in the game, it takes 50% longer to proc bleed, and it has the lowest critical rate out of any dagger. However, it does have the coolest moveset in the game. You basically just break dance on enemies. You even change your dance style when you two-hand it. I would have upgraded and used this dagger if the last dagger didn't use the same upgrade material. I did a little business with Andre, and then prepared myself for the sin that every Dark Souls player must complete every time they play this game. Miyazaki, I hate you. She stood no chance. We were just too strong. We were just too leveled up. I'm sorry. We were too strong. Too strong. I'm sorry. She wouldn't wanted me to have this. Since I was in a bad mood, I wanted to head over to the Duke's archives to read some self-help books. Unfortunately, I don't know how to read in my head, so they kicked me out. Thankfully, the window they threw me out of landed me right in the Crystal Caves, which is where our next Lord Soul is, Seath the Scaleless. After turning off his hacks, all I had to do was hug his right tail, and whenever he moved, I moved. When you do this strategy, he literally cannot hit you. It's kind of broken. Did I look up how to beat Seath after being cursed 3 times in a row? Maybe. Do I regret it? Not at all. Only a psychopath would willingly deal with the 2-minute run back. And with that, we have 3 out of our 4 Lord Souls. Look at that drill. Look at that drill. It was now time to take on the DLC. And this is actually the first time that I've ever played the DLC. Like I said before, when I played this game, I think the highest boss that I went to was maybe Nito. I heard that it was difficult, but when you look like this, how hard can it be? Foreshadowing. We're greeted by the Sanctuary Guardian, who initially I was a little intimidated by because he has 4 wings and shoots lightning and shit. I will admit his poison tail move really surprised me with the insta poison proc, but his tails are really obvious, and as long as you don't get greedy, he's super easy. Fuck the pitchfork guys. Obviously, I've heard about Knight Artorias, and I've heard that he's the hardest boss in the game. And honestly, I was expecting him to be the hardest boss in the game, but he exceeded my expectations. There's a couple reasons that made this fight excruciatingly difficult. One of those reasons being, I did no damage with the daggers, and Artorias takes no bleed damage. So whether I liked it or not, I was gonna be in this fight for a while. The second thing that made this fight so difficult, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this, getting heals off in this fight is impossible. impossible. It's like his entire moveset is designed to where you can't heal. If you heal, you get hit, and then you heal, then you get hit. And you can very well use like 6 Estus flasks without anything happening. And on top of that, he buffs his damage and is able to do a wicked amount of damage to you. If I wanted to beat him, I had to learn every single move in his kit. So that's what I ended up doing. Except this move. Fuck you, Miyazaki. And I haven't even really touched on the fact that he's very difficult to hit. The openings where you can hit him are very small. And the problem with using the dagger out of any other weapon is if you dodge and you are more than a foot away from him, you will not connect. I mean, in this clip alone, just to get the last hit, it took me like a solid 10 seconds. Pretty much every single fight that I would fight with this guy was like 8 to 12 minutes long, but eventually we finally fucking did it. All that's left to do is to give this chick the soul of Artorias, and the last dagger is ours. Dark Silver Tracer has the same light attacks as all the other daggers, and for the heavy move it has like a thrust stabbing move. And the beauty about this weapon is it actually has more range than every other single dagger. You no longer have to smell the enemy's breath in combat. On top of that range, this will be our endgame dagger because of the S scaling and dexterity and the highest crit rate in the entire game. After a quick little visit to Andre, these stats are looking juicy. The blue looks so cool. If only I had an outfit to go with it. It's not personal, it's just fashion. Drip, drop, from my toes to my top. After witnessing the coldest trick shot I've ever seen in my entire life, it was time to get down and dirty with the Black Dragon Calamite. And by down and dirty, I pretty much mean my face in the dirt within the first 5 seconds of every attempt. To be completely honest, I don't think the daggers are meant to be used in the endgame because they just don't do any damage if people don't take bleed. After about 4 insanely fun hours, I finally learned his moveset. I knew how to dodge his moves, and I understood that you gotta treat the fire like it's the Black Plague. Although he took longer than Artorias, he wasn't harder, he was just more unfair. I took the 60,000 souls Calamite gave me and used it on some new drill. Look at that drill. After making it to the Abyss, there was one last thing to do before we fought Maneth. I'm sorry, Seath. You don't know me, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. After trying to repent, I guess we were gonna fight Pitch Black Nothingness? I don't know. Huh. Oh fuck! Watch the ponytail! It was time for Abyss Daddy Maneth. It was actually time for my ass to turn into the Abyss. After taking it like a good boy for the better half of 2 hours, and actually learning that you can get up to 20 Estus flasks, wow, who would have thought? I finally learned that the key to this fight wasn't hugging his knees, but kinda laying that space and letting him come to you. After having this epiphany, it was only a matter of time before I became the Abyss Daddy. From one Abyss to another, and one king to another, it was time to face the final boss, Gwyn. Doin? I didn't even know this guy was in the game, to be honest. I had to look up how many bosses are in the game to find out about this dude. I think he's like Gwyn's son or something, but I made him my son. And with a quick stop at the lore vessel, it was time to finish this game. I practiced my parries against the Black Knights leading up to Gwyn, and all that was left was the final boss, the true test, to see if I deserve to be the next Lord of Cinder. 1200 damage! So it turns out my dagger build is like quite literally the perfect build against Gwyn. The fact that I have the highest critical rate in the game, the access to the parry dagger for easy parries, and I also threw on the Hornet's Ring, shout out Seath. This guy went down in 4 hits, like literally 4 hits. Overall, I'd say that the daggers as a class are okay. Certain scenarios like with Gwyn, or honestly any boss that takes bleed, the daggers are great, or at least the ones that do bleed are great. But if you look at it from a perspective of the entire game, the daggers are just okay. Like, they just don't do well enough in all scenarios, and the range is so bad, you're gonna be wishing you had a different weapon a lot of the time. But they were a lot of fun to use. The next time I do a weapon class run, I'm definitely going to pick something a bit bigger. This video was a lot of fun to make. Thank you guys for watching.